Now that we understand how this is all going to work, like I said, if you're joining us on the YouTube stream, feel free to let us know in the comments if you are experiencing something similar to what we've described. But we're going to go deeper into this right now. Now, I recently started to do some research into a law called Parkinson's Law. And this is a law you may be familiar with. So if you're someone who's familiar with or heard of Parkinson's Law, just write I have in the chat. If you're someone who's ever heard of Parkinson's Law before, if it's something that's come up in conversation, or if you've been in some kind of a training and you've ever heard of Parkinson's Law, feel free to write in the comments, I have. Now, Parkinson's Law is a very interesting law, okay? It's a law I first heard about a number of years ago. And if you're someone who's in the UK, in the US of A, Australasia, Asia, right, it's something you probably have heard of before, okay? I'm seeing all the I haves come in the chat. Now, the interesting thing about Parkinson's Law is it makes a very, very confident, interesting, pertinent statement about what is actually real as it pertains to time. And it had me really thinking to myself, hold on a minute, could it be so that Parkinson's Law is actually true? Like, is it potentially biblical that Parkinson's Law is actually true? And this led me on a little bit of a rabbit chase, which is where I then said to myself, you know what? I need to figure this out. I need to find out for myself if this thing is real, if this thing has any biblical legs to stand on, so I can start figuring out how I can actually start to work this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sharing with you guys a basic definition of Parkinson's Law, or more importantly, what Parkinson's Law means. And then straight after going into what Parkinson's Law means, I'm then going to start outlining to you, I'm then going to start sharing with you exactly how this may relate to you as a believer and how we can literally leverage or utilize this, okay? And bear in mind, guys, as we start today's session, I'm sharing with people who have said to me, Samuel, I'm someone who believes God has shown me what I'm supposed to do, but I found it challenging to get through. I found it challenging to find how to have enough time to do these things. That's who I'm speaking to today. So if that's you, today's session is for you. Now, if you're someone who doesn't fit into that box, if you're someone who always feels like you've got enough time to do every single thing that God's dropped on your heart, God's dropped on your spirit, this isn't the session for you, all right? So the great thing you can do is literally go make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee if you drink coffee, and literally share this video with someone else. If you're on YouTube, that's easy to do. Hit that share button. If you're inside of the private room, that's easy to do. Literally WhatsApp or use social media to message someone and tell them, hey, you need to get into this call because you're the kind of person who's not like me, who always feels like you don't have enough time to do what God has called you to do. Now, let's jump into Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law states that work expands, okay? I'm going to say this again. I want you to be listening to this. All right. And when you get it, when I've shared this definition and you get it, oh, I get it. I get what Parkinson's Law is all about. I want you to write in the comments, I get it. Okay. Parkinson's Law states that all work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Okay. All work expands to fill up the time available for its completion. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, very simply, what that means is, if you have what most people call a deadline, and you are saying by next week, Friday, I need to get this done, A done, B done, C done, Parkinson's Law states that no matter what you do, all of the work to do that task by next Friday will expand. It will literally, the work will become bigger. Oh, I don't know if this is fascinating you, but I want you to really think this through. All work expands to fill the time that is available for that work's completion. If you understand what Parkinson's Law is stating, I just want you to write in the chat, I get it, right? Because if we don't understand on the macro level, it's going to be hard for us to understand on the micro level, right? So let's catch this first. Parkinson's Law states that all work expands to fill up the time that we have to complete it. All right. I see you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel says, I get it. All right. Okay. All right. The comments are coming in the chat. Dwayne says, I get it. All right, cool. And for those of you joining us on YouTube, in the YouTube live streets, feel free to let us know in YouTube live through means of the live comments if you get it, right? Now that we understand that, I want us to do something very simple. This wasn't even in the notes, but I think this is going to be super helpful for all of us. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. I want us to go to the book of Ecclesiastes, and I want us to read something very simple. And I want to show you how what we're going to read in Ecclesiastes may be very relevant to what we've just basically understood from Parkinson's law. Because I want you to understand, scientific laws are not abstract to the Bible, except when they're made up. Okay? I'll say that again. Scientific laws are not abstract to the Bible. That means if you find a scientific principle, 9 times out of 10, if it's a true scientific discovery, if it's real, it will be backed up by the Bible. Why? Because the Bible would have shown that scientific principle before that scientist discovered the principle. If you're getting this, just write I am in the comments. Now, if we go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, we're going to read something very simple. Parkinson's law states that all work expands. The work literally gets bigger in relation to the time available to complete that task. So if you're a human being who said to yourself before, Samuel, you know what? I don't have enough time. Samuel, there's not enough time in the day. 24 hours isn't enough for me. I'm here to tell you something. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I'm going to read from verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. It says a time to be born and a time to die. All work expands. I want you to think about this. All work expands to fill the time available to its completion. And Solomon starts Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 by saying, to everything there's a time and season. And then he gives us some deep impetus as we get into verse 2. He says, a time to be born. All work expands. A time to be born. And then what? A time to die. So all work expands. All the time that you have for the process that comes after being born will expand up until the time that you have for the process for you to die. You see, Parkinson's law is super interesting because as we start to decipher and discover in today's session, you are going to realize that the not enough time is actually just a trap. The not enough time concept, the not enough time conception, the belief that you do not have enough time is literally a trap. Now, here's a question. If there's a trap out there that seeks to trap you from your true success, who do you think laid that trap? Someone let me know in the chat. Who do you think laid that trap? To make you believe, to cause you to believe that there's not enough time. Now, we're going to break some things down. I see you. Dwayne says, that must be the enemy. This is what we're going to do. We're going to break some stuff down, which is going to be super helpful for you guys. So fasten your seatbelt. For those of you who got pens, papers, notepads, iPads, tablets, stylus, you might want to write some of this stuff down. Now, we started off by asking a question, right? How many of you have felt as though you don't have enough time to achieve the things God has placed in your heart? I asked a follow-up question and I said, well, if that is actually a trap, who do you think has set that trap? I'm going to show you something, right? If you feel as though you have not enough time, you may not have realized that that is actually just a net. And this is what I mean when I say that the concept of not enough time is actually a trap. It's actually a net trying to keep you confined so you don't actually discover how much time you really have. So you don't actually discover how valuable the time you actually have really is. And as long as we see time with a net perspective, we are going to be trapped and unable to achieve the fullness of what God has actually given us. If this is helping someone, let me literally know in the comments, this is helping me. You see, we have spent too long in our lives believing that there's not enough time, being convinced that there's not enough time. In certain circumstances, being controlled by the conceptual idea that there's not enough time. I'm here to tell you that according to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, to everything there is a time and season, you and I have enough time. Listen, guys, someone let me know if that line alone was helpful for you. You and I have enough time. You see, sometimes we just need someone to encourage us. We just need someone to help us realize that we have enough time. I want you guys to know that you have enough time. Brethren, we have enough time. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 tells us, to everything there is a time and season under the heavens. You see, here's the thing we have to understand. Inside of the spiritual, time is not a net. Time is not a boundary. Time is not a barrier that's locking us in, boxing us in, stopping us from doing certain things. It's only in the natural that we experience time, and time has that power to stop us from getting into places. And the only way it has that power is when we see it as a net. When we see it as not enough. When we don't recognize there is enough. There's more than enough. So I hope this is helping you, because we're going to go deeper into this. So I want us to read something. Let's go to Psalm chapter 90. Okay. And again, from the macro lens, let's catch this. And right now in Psalm 90, I'm going to share with you why I'm actually talking about this today, why I'm actually opening up this session today, for us to have this teaching, this session right now, but then after, for the gentlemen, for us to have the Q&A, the key takeaways, the questions afterwards, right? There's reason, there's rationale behind this. This isn't just, let's talk about time and how there's not enough time. No, there is a depth to your success. There is a depth to your ability. There's a depth to your to what you're going to be able to achieve in your life. Once you understand, you have to stop looking at time as a net. You have to stop looking at time like there's not enough of it. The moment you get out of that net, you get out of that trap, I've got some good news for you. Everything changes. If someone's looking for everything to change in terms of their understanding and perspective of time, just write in the comments, me. The moment you stop looking at time as your net, everything changes. Everything changes. I see in the comments in YouTube, get it. That is good. I see those emojis. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Because I want you guys to understand how this works. The moment you start understanding how this works, everything's going to change for you. Everything's going to become aligned. All the things that have been assigned will become refined. Guys, I'm telling you, everything changes for you. So let's dig deeper into how we are actually supposed to recognize what's really going on and not what we've been trapped into thinking is going on as it pertains to time. Follow me to Psalm chapter 90. We're going to be reading specifically verse 12. Psalm chapter 90. And we'll be reading specifically verse 12. And we're going to start to uncover this. We've started at the macro, and we're going to start to dig deeper into the micro. I shared with you guys at the start of today's session that Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time that is available for its completion. Now, there are numerous studies out there where people can show you how you can utilize Parkinson's law to your benefit, okay? But here's the funniest thing. Parkinson's law is the science. I don't want to work with the science. I want to work with the spirit. Oh, someone's going to catch that today. Parkinson's law is the science. And the science may have its place in the spectrum of things, but I want to work with the spirit, which has the highest place in the spectrum of things. If this is helping someone say this is helping me. Let's go. Psalm 90 is where we're going to jump in on today's session. And I'm specifically going to be starting by reading verse 12 to start getting deeper into today's session. Let's go. Psalm chapter 90, verse 12. It says, this is a psalm, a prayer of Moses, right? This is a prayer of Moses. Moses says something powerful. And we know who Moses is, right? Moses is the person who initiates the process of articulating the scriptures. Moses literally articulated the first 5 books of the law, right? So that is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. Moses laid that down, all right? Led by the Holy Spirit, but Moses laid that down. And this is essential, crucial, and key to where we're going in today's session, right? So you guys know I love maths. You guys know I love numbers. Watch what Moses says in Psalm 90, verse 12, in his prayer. He says, so teach us something. God, teach us something. God, what do you think Moses, who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, asked God to teach us? Watch this. Teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. You see, so many people have been reading their Bible for years, but have never assigned their ears to what Moses said right here. Moses prays and says, teach us to number our days. Look, I want you to see this. I don't know if you understand what Moses is saying here. Moses is saying, God, if you teach us this thing, if you show us the formula for this thing, if we discover the science, the system, the success around this thing, we'll be able to apply our hearts unto this thing. Now, here's the thing. This is what you might have missed, right? And this is why I want to share this with you, right? Let's reverse on this, right? Moses says, teach us to number our days around this thing. This is a scale. And the moment you teach us to number our days around this thing, let's call this thing A, we will have the power to harness this thing, let's call this thing B. Now, here's a question, right? Moses was talking about teaching us to number our days so we can apply our hearts unto wisdom. So thing B is wisdom. Now, what does Solomon tell us that wisdom is in the Bible? Okay, can anyone tell me in the comments, what does Solomon tell us that wisdom is? Wisdom is called something in the Bible, in Proverbs, right? Which is literally meaning it's second to none. Which literally means this thing isn't the third or fourth or eighth or 12th thing on the barometer, okay? It says, teach us to number our days, which is this thing, the lesson, the learning, the training, the A, okay? Numbering our days. We want to learn this. Someone's going to get this. If you understand the path to progress, we want to learn this so we can earn this. Someone's catching this. I see it in the YouTube chat. The principal thing. Think about this, guys. Moses prays, teach us to number our days. For what purpose? If we learn how to number our days, we'll be able to earn the most important thing. Solomon says wisdom is the principal thing. So we are praying, Moses was praying, we are being advised to pray, teach us to number our days so we can earn the most principal thing, the most important thing. What's the most important thing? Wisdom. So what does this tell us? This tells us that probably the most important thing to learn whilst on this earth is how to number our days. What is numbering your days? I submit to you that numbering your days is learning how to use time. If you discover, if you uncover, or even if I put it accurately, if you recover an understanding of how to use time effectively, you will be setting yourself up to have wisdom. You see, we live in a day and age where people don't have wisdom, but they don't understand why they don't have wisdom. The reason many people lack wisdom is because most people don't know how to use time. They don't know how to number their days. Moses prayed, teach us how to number our days so we can incline our hearts, so we can move forward, so that we can grasp, so that we can assess, so that we can access wisdom. You see, you get the principal thing when you discover the principal lesson. And this is what most people haven't realized. I'm going to say that again because some of you might need to write it with the pen. You get the most important thing when you discover the most important lesson, which is to discover how to number your days, which is to discover how to use time. The moment you start to understand how to utilize time appropriately, you will start to be able to access wisdom on a whole new level. And this is the reason I asked the question earlier, who would like their life to change the moment they start to have a better understanding of how to utilize time? And I saw in YouTube, people saying me. I saw inside of the private room, people saying me. This is how you do it. You start discovering how to number your days. So let's jump into this. I shared with you guys earlier that many of us look at time from a net perspective. And the beautiful thing, if you look at time from a net perspective, especially if you're someone who's in business, maybe those of you who are part of our Wealth in Words community, etc., you will understand that net is not the only way to look at business, okay? Net is just one way to look at business. And what's interesting about the net way to look at business is it's actually the smaller way to look at business. If you think at business revenue, if you think about your business revenue, your income, even from your salary, from your work, from your job, your net is your walk away pay. But there's something bigger than your net. Someone tell me what's bigger than your net inside of the comments before we even go deeper. And then we're going to go into this in much more extravagant fashion. Because guys, I've got something for you, which I believe is going to help you the moment you start to see how this works for you. All right. So net is one way to look at things, but net is not the biggest way to look at things. There's a bigger way to look at things. All right. Oh, it's coming through. It's coming through. It's coming through. You guys are throwing it in the chat. Dwayne says, gross. There's a gross way to look at things. I love that. Tyrone says, gross. There's a gross way to look at things. I love that. Emmanuel says, gross. There's a gross way to look at things. I love that. And you guys are 100% correct. Besides that, there's another way to look at things, and that is by looking at things based on the gross. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to be deep diving into the scriptures to uncover what is the gross way we're supposed to be looking at things and not get stuck in the net way. If you guys are ready for that, just write in the comments, I'm ready, as we jump in to the scriptures. Let's go, let's go, let's go. First scripture I want to read, or reread, should I say, is exactly where we started in Psalm 90, verse 12. Psalm 90, verse 12 is going to give us the first key to how we are supposed to literally be seeing time in order for us to no longer see time as a net, keeping us trapped, but to see it from the gross so we can achieve exactly what God has ordained for us. Let's jump into this right now. How do we do this? Psalm chapter 90, verse 12, it says, so teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. My question to you is this: who was Moses praying to? Okay? Who was Moses praying to? The moment you discover who Moses was praying to, because look, guys, some of you might be saying, Samuel, that's a weird question. Who was Moses praying to? No, it's not a weird question. Because in the New Testament, we see Jesus tell us a parable about someone who's praying to themselves. Okay? In the Old Testament, we see Moses come down from the Mount Sinai and see the children of Israel creating golden calves. So don't just assume all the time that when people are praying, they're praying to the same God that you and I may be praying to. Is that a fair statement? Someone let me know if that's a fair statement. So to get us started with, the first thing we need to discover, the first thing I would encourage you to uncover is that the gross way, the appropriate way to look at time according to a biblical manifestation is to look at time as godly. That's what the G stands for. We should look at time from a godly perspective. How? Because Moses wasn't praying to himself. Moses wasn't saying, I'm going to figure out how to use time so that I can apply mine unto wisdom. But here's the thing that's interesting, right? Because some of you haven't realized this. Many human beings do that every day. I have watched many human beings over the years literally do exactly that. Pray in and of themselves, to themselves. I'm going to figure out how to use my time. I'm going to become more effective with my time. I'm going to go on another program to work out how to do time management, time allocation. I want you guys to understand something. When you take time into your own hands, you are going to expect what only you and your own hands can produce, can perform. Moses didn't say, God, I'm going to figure out this time thing. You've put this time thing here in the natural with me, and I'm a natural man, so I'm going to figure it out naturally. No, Moses did the opposite. Moses said, teach us how to literally deal with our days, how to number our days. Listen, I hope you understand what this word number means. To number something is to quantify something. To number something is to do the maths with something. Moses said, teach me the maths of my days. Teach me the maths of my minutes. Teach me the maths of my moments. He was asking for God to show him the mathematical formula of numbering his days. Teach me to number my days so that I can incline my heart unto wisdom. Guys, I want you to, I hope you understand what we're talking about here. We are saying that the way to look at time is to start by looking at it in a godly fashion. Look at time with a godly perspective. Don't look at time the way you've looked at time before. Time is not a net. Start with the godly perspective. I'll give you another G for this godly perspective, because for me, this is one of the greatest G's we need. You need to start by looking at your time with gratitude. Let gratitude be the attitude that you use to look at time. Have gratitude when you look at time. Be grateful. Start your day by saying, God, I thank you that I have another day. another day to be a husband, another day to be a father, another day to be a champion in business, another day to be a client, another day to be a customer, another day to... Guys, whatever God has called you to do, start with gratitude. Start being grateful. I remember years ago reading a book by Rabbi Daniel Lapin where he broke down that every single day he encourages people to start with 5 things they are grateful for. I sincerely encourage you guys to start to realize that you need to start looking at time from a position of gratitude. It will change everything. This is what Moses did. Moses looked at time and he said, listen, this thing is so deep. I need God to show me how to work it. This thing is so deep. I need God to teach me how it works. This thing is so deep. I need God's mathematical formula on how to crack this code. Psalm 90:12. So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. You see, I want to encourage you, if you've been a person who's been on every time management program, if you've been a person who's been on every time management course, if you've been a person who's been reading all these time management books, but you still haven't realized how to manage your time, you need to pray, Father God, teach me to number my days. Father God, teach me to quantify my days. Heavenly Father, teach me how to understand the mathematics of my days, the mathematics of my moments and my minutes, so that I can incline my heart unto your wisdom. Because after all, ladies and gentlemen, wisdom is the principal thing. Someone's going to catch this today. So the first thing we need to do is we need to see time as godly. We need to understand that God has given us the time. We need to understand that the time literally conforms to God's ordination. Time isn't doing what it wants to do. Time is doing what God has told it to do. And that's a revelation for someone. I'm going to say it again. Time isn't doing what it wants to do. Time is doing what God has told it to do. And the moment you recognize that, guess what? Time will start to work for you. Because you'll align yourself. You see, I don't know if you've read the story of Joshua going to war. Joshua's going to war and he sees this angelic, this strong being. And he says to this angelic, this strong being, he says, whose side are you on? Are you on my side or are you on their side? And this angelic Lord of hosts says to him, neither. He says, neither. He says, I'm not on your side. I'm not on their side. I am on the side of the captain of the Lord of hosts of the army of the God of heaven, bro. I'm on a side that you haven't even decided whether you're on yet. And you know what Joshua did? He did the thing we should all do right now as I am explaining to you what time is pertaining to. He bowed down his ideas of whose side he was on and realized he was actually on someone else's side. You see, as we try to figure out time for ourselves, I'm here to help you and say something. You will never figure it out. Solomon broke it down in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. He said, listen, there are times and seasons for everything. There's a time to live. There's a time to die. He broke it down. We have scientists like Parkinson's breaking down Parkinson's law, which basically states work expands to fill the time available for its completion. And guys, listen, no man is going to figure it out. But here's a beautiful thing. Time was given by God. So God's already figured it out. Time is not doing what it wants to do. Time is doing what God has assigned it to do. Here's the thing that's interesting as a thought. If time is only being obedient to its master, what would happen if you were doing the same? Hopefully you just caught a revelation there. Hopefully you just realized, hold on a minute, there would be an alignment between me and my assignment and time. If time is only doing what it was assigned to do, if it's only being obedient to its master, and you were too, what would happen? You would start to live in time. You'd start to look like you and time are literally married together. You do things and, oh, yo, he just got great timing. You see, the Bible talks about the children of Issachar. It said that they were wiser than others because they understood times and seasons. Guys, I don't know if you understand, there is a marriage between wisdom and timing. Someone needs to write that in their notes. There is a marriage throughout the Bible between wisdom and timing. We just saw Moses pray in Psalm 90 verse 12. Teach us to number our days so we can incline our hearts unto wisdom. I've just shared with you, paraphrase. The Bible says the children of Issachar were wiser than the rest. Why? Because they understood times and season. There is a marriage between wisdom and timing. Some people look like they've got no wisdom because they've actually just got no sense of timing. Oh, that's so powerful. I need to write that down myself. Some people look like they've got no wisdom, but it's actually just the fact they've got no sense of timing. Let's go deeper. Let's go to Joel chapter 2. We're going to read something very interesting in the book of Joel. And I really like the book of Joel because of how prophetic Joel was. As an ambassador for Christ, throughout the book of Joel, we see so many verses where Joel is literally like, although, like, let me put it this way so you get exactly what I'm talking about in a concise fashion. Joel is one of the smallest books in the Bible, but Joel is so heavily quoted from. Around the world, people will talk about things written in the book of Joel. How does this small book get such great accolade? I'm here to tell you why. Because of how prophetic Joel was. Because of how prophetic he was, there were things he would say that even till today, people still say. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. These verses from the book of Joel, a small book, literally, how many chapters in here? Literally with 3 chapters, professed and prophesied till today. Why? Because of the level of potency in his prophetic nature. Now, we're going to go to Joel chapter 2, and I'm going to read a verse, simple verse, verse 25. And my encouragement to all of you guys, as I always encourage you guys every single month, is to read these whole chapters, read these whole books, okay, when you're out of this session. We only have a certain amount of time in these sessions. So we're going to go through these things fairly briefly. We go from a macro to a micro perspective. But you guys, in your own time, go deeper, dig deeper, read the chapter, read the verse, read more. This is why you should have pen, paper, notepad, iPad, tablet, stylus as we proceed. Let's go. So in Joel chapter 2, I'm going to read verse 25. Watch this. He says, this is talking of God. This is a prophetic word from God. He says, and I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. Okay? Now, how can God restore years? I can tell you how God can restore years, because time is from God. This is why I really appreciate when people say, you know, do you live in the moment? Do you live in the present? This is why I really appreciate the fact that the word present, which means the time we're in right now, is the same word as the word present, which means a gift that I can give you right now. The reason I really appreciate that is because it comes from God. It's a literal gift from God. So watch this. It says in Joel chapter 2, verse 25, and I will restore to you. God can restore years. How can God restore years? Because the G in how we're supposed to look at time, not from the net, but from the gross, is that time is godly. So if time is godly, God can do things in time, through time, for time. And it says to us here in Joel chapter 2, verse 25, and I will restore to you the years that the locust have eaten, the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. What does this mean? This means that the same way time can be stolen from you, the same way time can be taken from you, time can also be restored unto you. If this is exciting someone, if this is helping someone, just write the word me in the chat. If someone's literally hearing this and saying, wow, like, Samuel, are you being for real? Like, you're telling me that the same way I feel my time has been lost, my time can be restored. I'm here to say the answer is yes to that. Guys, I celebrated my 18th birthday in a prison cell in the UK, came out of that prison and believed inside of my mind that there was not enough time. Believed inside of my mind that my time had been taken. It had been stolen. So guess what? I had this urge to get my time back. Here's the thing that's beautiful. God can give you your time back. I don't know where you are. I don't know where you're staying. I don't know what you've been saying, but I'm here to tell you that we have to see time as redemptive. We have to see time as restorative. We have to see time as something we can get back. Your time can be given back to you. Your time can be given back to you. Your time can be multiplied unto you. Your time can be dropped back on you. You see, some of us feel as though our time's been taken. Some of us feel as though, oh, I'm behind. Some of us feel as though, oh, I'm catching up. I'm here to tell you something. God can restore the time unto you that you feel has been stolen, even by, let me say this because some of you haven't seen it like this. God uses these terms. He says the cankerworm, he says the palmer worm. Listen, even time that you feel has been stolen by insects. See, some of you haven't thought about it like that. You haven't seen that he describes these different kinds of worms and insects, these caterpillars. See, some of us, we haven't realized that's how your time feels like it's being taken. It feels like it's being taken by literal insects. Excuse me. It feels like it's being taken by these small little micro things that, oh, where has the time gone? Oh, where has the time gone? Nobody feels like the time was taken by a robber who ran up in your house and said, hey, give me 8 of those hours, I'm taking them with me. Everybody feels like they were taken in the microseconds, the milliseconds, the insects of your time being stolen from you. God is deep. God says, literally, look, watch this. Joel chapter 2, verse 25, and I, not someone else, I will restore to you the years that the locust insect have eaten, the cankerworm insect, and the caterpillar insect, and the palmer worm may my great army which I sent among you. See, this is what many of us haven't realized. We haven't realized that although our time feels as though it's being stolen from us in these micro, minuscule ways, God is the one who can restore it unto you. And listen, he doesn't say, I'll restore the minutes unto you. He says, I will restore unto you the years. What does that tell you? That tells you the same principle we learn in the New Testament, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. It tells you the same thing we learn in the New Testament, where it states that the small foxes spoil the vine. It shows us that it's these micro, minuscule things that have massive impacts. And some of us haven't realized how important it is to focus on the micro things. So we're so focused on the major things. And many of you have heard me say it, it's small keys that open big doors, and you should stop focusing on doors and start realizing I need to get focused on the keys. You see, once you get focused on the keys, like John 8 verse 32 says, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. You see, some of us are focused on the door of freedom without realizing the necessity is the key of truth. Some of us haven't realized that the moment we harness the key of truth, we can open the door to become free. This is why I have to make sure I have a coach. This is why I have to make sure I'm reading. This is why I have to make sure that I am becoming a student. According to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, study to show yourself approved, a reasonable, a worthy workman, so you're not ashamed. This is why. Not because I think it's cool. Not because, oh yeah, I want to be the guy who knows stuff other people. No! It's because those micro, minuscule things are making massive impacts in your and I life. And I want you to understand that. My life and your life are being majorly affected by micro movements. God knows that. And God tells us that by telling us in Joel chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore unto you the years that these micro things, these locusts, these cankerworms, these palmer worms have stolen from you. Let's go deeper. So the first thing we have to understand is that time is godly. And if time being godly is true, then we need to look at time from a position of gratitude. And if we look at time from a position of gratitude, guess what we do? We set ourselves up to have the rest of our life being the best of our life. Time is godly. But then what we've just seen in Joel chapter 2, verse 25, is time is also redemptive. And guess what would happen if we stop seeing time as, oh, it's all gone, and start seeing it as it's redemptive, and start seeing it as God can return unto us the years the cankerworm have stolen? If we start seeing it like that, guess how we'd live? We live different. Let's go deeper. Ecclesiastes, we read this earlier, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I want to share something with you. If only we saw time, how God created time, everything would change for you. Everything will change for I. Now, before we even read this, let me ask this question. Has anyone ever heard of the word omnipresent? If that's you, just write in the word yes in the chat. Again, those of you joining us on YouTube, you can let us know in the YouTube live chat. Those of you joining us in the private room, let us know in the private room. And guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, you are getting value from this, and you haven't subscribed to this channel, hit subscribe so you can get more value in your life. All right, I see the comments coming through. Tyrone says, yes, I've heard of omnipresent. Dwayne says, yes, I've heard of omnipresent. Brilliant, right? Now, here's another question. Have you ever heard of the word omnipotent? Okay, if you have, just throw the word yes in the comments. Now, for those of you who've never heard of the word omnipresent, omnipresent is a characteristic of God himself. It means that he's everywhere at the same time, okay? Omni, it means everywhere at the same time. Present, there. Omni, always, okay? So omnipresent is to be everywhere at the same time. There, always, okay? David has a powerful verse in the scripture. He says, where can I go that you will not be there? He even says, even in the depths of hell, you will be there, right? Now, here's the thing. Tyrone says omnipotent. I've heard of that before, okay? Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm seeing the yeses come through in the YouTube chat as well. For those of you who don't know, omnipotent speaks of God's power, okay? His power. That means that he's all powerful. So some of the characteristics of God are that he's omnipresent, which means he's everywhere all at the same time, right? And he's omnipotent, which means he's powerful to the nth degree of power. There is no degree of power above his power, right? Now, here's something you probably haven't thought about, okay? And this is something that connects and works with time. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, let's read verse 1. Because there's a third to that trio of omnipresent and omnipotent, and I'm going to show it to you right now, okay? Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, okay? So I want you to think about this. To everything, to you, to I, to the birds, to the sky, to the things that crawl and to the things that fly, to everything there is a season and a time, okay? Now, what does that mean, right? We know God is omnipresent. He can be everywhere at the same time. We know God is omnipotent. He has all power. Here's a question. Did you know that God is omniscient? Okay. Now, omniscient is one that many people say they haven't heard of before. Did you know that God is omniscient? Let me see a yes in the chat if you've heard that term before. Because omniscient means that God knows everything. He knows everything. Tyrone says, yes, I've heard of that before. That means he knows everything. Now, guys, I want you to understand what this means. He knows everything. This goes back to the G of why we should not see time in a net fashion, but we should see time in its gross fashion, because God knows everything. Emmanuel says, yes, I've seen that before. I've heard that before, because God knows everything. So what does that mean? If to everything, Dwayne says, yes, I've heard that before. I've seen it before. If to everything, according to Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, according to everything having a time and everything having a season under the heaven, if we actually understand that God is omniscient, what do we learn right now? We learn if God knows everything, then in God's omniscience, we learn that God knows. You see, this is one of the things that I find with certain people. You see, when someone's keyed into their belief in Christ, a lot of the time you see something. You see that they will act as though they know God knows. Why? Because they recognize God's omniscience. They recognize that, listen, I know I'm going through this situation. I know it doesn't feel comfortable for me. I know it's not what I wanted it to go through. But guess what? God knows. Why? Because they recognize the aspect of time that's omniscient. They recognize the aspect of God's characteristic in him delivering time to us, that God knows everything. God created time. God gave us time. And God knows that time has the redemptive property that he can reproduce for us. He can recreate for us. He can restore for us years that we feel have been stolen. God knows that. But God knows everything. He knows the time for my greatness. He knows the time for my pain. He knows the time for my loss. He knows the time for my mourning. He knows the time for my yawning. He knows all of the times. He knows the time and season because God is omniscient. Now, here's the thing I want to share with you guys, because I want you guys to catch this. I want you to understand this. If God is omniscient and we believed he was omniscient, how would we operate with our time? Would it be the same? Or would it be different? Now, you don't have to answer in the chat. That's a personal one for you. Just to write that in your journal. Write that in your notebook, your iPad, your tablet, your stylus, wherever you're taking notes. Write that down. Answer that question for yourself. If I believed that God knew everything, would I change? Would I operate differently to have been operating so far? Would I be trying to rush everything? Would I be trying to get into stuff and get out of stuff because I just need to do it as quick as possible? I just need to find out what's in there. Or would I be the person who would trust the process? Would I be the person who says, no, this takes this long. I'm going to take the time. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to get through the process. Even though it's hard, even though it hurts, even though it feels as though it might even harm, I'm going to go through the process because I know God knows. Because I know God knows. You see, guys, I want to share this with you because I want you guys to understand that some of us are hijacking our future with memories from our history. I'm going to repeat that because someone needed to hear that. I want to help you guys understand this because I have come to recognize, I've come to realize, I've come to see more and more that some of us have been hijacking our future with memories of our history. Some of us are replaying the recordings of our history, what happened in a different season, in a different time, and we're using them to realign our current time, our present, our gifted time. Do not hijack your future with recordings from your history. I remember hearing Peter J. Daniels say this years ago. He said the one thing we learn from history is that we do not learn from history. If you are someone who's following what I've been sharing today, if you are someone who understands what it reads in Psalm 90 verse 12, if you are rocking with us, you will understand that Moses said, our prayer should be, teach us to number our days. Teach me the mathematics and the mechanics of my minutes and my moments so I can apply my heart unto wisdom. Do not hijack your future with recordings from your history. You see, Moses, if he only played the recordings of his history, would have allowed the fact he was a murderer to murder and assassinate his future. You see, Joseph, if he replayed the recordings of his history, would have allowed those replays and those recordings to hijack his future. He wouldn't have been interpreting dreams for people in a prison. He would have been telling his story of Potiphar and Potiphar's wife. He wouldn't have been declaring and sharing how to move forward as a nation to the Pharaoh. Instead, he would have been confessing and decreeing how he was thrown in a pit by his own brothers. Guys, I hope you are getting the value from today's session and understanding that your whole future can change the moment you change and you stop seeing time as a net, as not enough time, and start seeing time from this framework of growth where you start recognizing, you know what, time is God, it's from God. He gave me my time. He knows, so I'm going to be grateful. Time is redemptive. He can restore unto me the years that I feel the insects, the microcosms of this world have stolen from me. He can restore that unto me because time's redemptive. And time is an attribute, it's a byproduct of an omniscient God. He knows everything. According to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, he knows the times, he knows the seasons of every living thing under the heavens. God's got me. God's got me. Let's go deeper, guys. Let's go to Joshua chapter 10. I'm going to read a few verses here because I want to share with you something that really, it's a story that always encourages me to remember, Samuel, there's more. You know, sometimes I feel like, you know what, we're here, we're there, we've achieved it. And God just reminds me, Samuel, there's more. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, we just did some great work. And God just reminds me, there's more. Joshua chapter 10, I'm going to read from verse 7 to verse 14. Let's go. Oh, if you're in this session today and you're literally saying to yourself, you know what, someone else, I know someone who should have been in this session, just write in the comments, that's me. All right. And that's the same in the YouTube live. If you're on the YouTube live and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, there's other people that need to be on this call, just write, that's me. Okay. In the comments. Right. And you can literally help them. If you're in YouTube, you can literally help them by sharing this link in your social groups, whether it's YouTube, WhatsApp, whatever else you have. You can connect with people, say, hey guys, I'm going through this session and this session is super valuable. I think it will be helpful for you too. All right. So feel free to share, be that person, right? The YouTube stuff, like, share, subscribe, etc. But share this with actual real people, right? That's my thing. Like, I'm not into all of the numbers like, oh yeah, let's get 100,000 subs. No, I'm into the impact, right? The impact. If there are people you know who need to hear this message, who need to stop looking at their time as a net and start looking at time. I see that that's me in the YouTube comments. And they need to start seeing time from the growth perspective, the godly perspective, the redemptive perspective, the omniscient perspective, and we're going to go deeper into the two S's. I want you to literally understand that you can share this video with a real person, right? That's who I'm about, real people. When you are tuned into this, when you're getting value from this, when you're taking notes and saying, you know what, that line just changed my life, right? That concept, that idea, that law, that principle just changed my life. This is what you should do. You should think about another person whose life it could change as well. Because the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. And the moment someone comes in your heart or comes in your head, share the content with them. Share the content with them. Hey, sister, I was going through this thing and you came to my mind. I just wanted to share this with you. Hey, brother, I was going through this training, this men's Bible and breakfast. This thing was turning me every which way but loose. So I thought I should share it with you. Don't be the person who keeps it to yourself. I see that that's me coming through inside of the private room as well. Let's go deeper, guys. We're in Joshua chapter 10. And I just saw the time, literally. Let's go. We're going to have to go super fast. Joshua chapter 10. I'm going to read from verse 7 to verse 14 for those of you who want to take notes. And I'm going to just read through really quickly. And then I'm going to give you the 2 points because we're going to have to wrap this up real quick. And for those of you who love these sessions each month, and you're like, you know what, Samuel, the way you teach this stuff, I really love it. I'd love to learn more about this so it can impact my business. It can impact my ministry. It can impact my work. Guys, we have a community called Wealth in Words. The link is typically in the description of these videos. Go hit the link, become a member, join us, and on a weekly basis, you'll get all of this value plus more, right? So let's go deeper. Joshua chapter 10, I'm reading from verse 7. It says, so Joshua ascended from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. Verse 8. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear them not, don't be afraid, for I have delivered them into your hand, into thine hand. There shall not a man of them stand before you. None of them are big enough to stand in your way. Watch this. Verse 9. Joshua therefore came unto them suddenly and went up from Gilgal all night. Verse 10. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth-horon, and smote them to Azekah. Listen to this, guys. And unto Makkedah. Now, I want you to really pay attention. Verse 11 to 14. And it came to pass as they fled from before Israel. Excuse me. So, Joshua's at war. You and I are at war. Some of us are at war. We may be at war with circumstances, situations, settings in our life. You may be at war with bills. You may be at war with pills. Okay? Whilst he's at war, God gives him a word. The word is, listen, you're going to win. They ain't got anything on you. The losers start losing. I want you to watch this. Verse 10, the losers start losing. The Bible is describing how deeply they're losing, the directions they're running to as they lose, right? Watch this. 10 again. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth-horon and smote them to Azekah and unto Makkedah. Watch this. And it came to pass as they fled from before Israel and were in the going down to Beth-horon that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Azekah. And they died. They were more which died with hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew from the sword. What is this saying? This is saying what we read earlier. I will restore unto you the years that the cankerworm, the locusts have stolen. This is saying your energy to fight may be one level of energy, but when I show up with my energy, it's a whole nother energy. Oh, some of you ain't ready for this. This is saying to you, your energy to fight may be one level of energy, but when I show up to you with my energy, these hailstones, it's a whole nother level of energy. I want you guys to catch this because I want you guys to see how this may be operating in your life, how you may be overcoming certain enemies, but not realizing when God turns the hailstones on, there's going to be a redemption. There's going to be another level of restorative time, okay? It says, it clearly describes this. It says the amount that died from the hailstones, from what God was doing, was more than the amount that died from the sword, the work the men were doing. Watch this, it goes deeper. 12, Then spake Joshua to the Lord. And I want to signpost this. It didn't say Joshua said to himself. It didn't say Joshua spoke to the universe. It didn't say Joshua wrote in his journal. Listen to this. Then spoke Joshua to the Lord. He started to pray. Watch what he prays. Whilst he's winning, might I add. Because some of us, we don't want to pray when we're winning. Some of us, when we're winning, we start chilling. It says in verse 12, then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. This guy's winning, guys. You see, some of us don't understand this because some of us are so steeped in the replays of our history that we don't understand that when you're winning is the best time to keep praying. He's winning. He's winning. And he's realizing the work God is doing in time is helping him win even more than the work he's doing in time. But guess what he does? He doesn't then say, oh, I'm winning. We're going to win this. He says, I'm winning. I need to speak to God. And guess what he says to God? He speaks and declares unto God. He says, sun, stand still in Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. He literally tells time to stand still. Why? Because the sun, according to Genesis, those of you who've been on the teaching with me that I've done in the past, according to Genesis, the sun and the moon are used for times and seasons, which means they are key collaborators in time being able to move. Watch this. Let's go deeper. 13, and then 14. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. You see, this is why this is so good, right? This is so good because what happens is he's already winning. God turns on the maximum win, and then he says, no, we don't want to end this thing. Sun, stand still. Time, serve me. Someone's never heard that before. Joshua shows us, and guys, this is a God we're serving which hasn't changed. I want you to understand this. In the time when he's winning, he declares time freeze. Why should the time freeze? The time should freeze because, and you guys may not have seen this, but I'm going to show it to you because I want you to catch this. The time should freeze because time, if you understand time the way God ordained it, time is service led. Time has been created to serve you. Time is service led. And most people miss this. And Joshua says, he capitalizes on this. He realizes, hold on a minute, I'm winning. Hold on a minute, God told me I'm gonna win. Hold on a minute, not only am I winning from this sword thing that we're doing, but we're winning from this hellstone thing that we're doing. And we're seeing that we are winning. And if we're winning from this sword thing, and we're winning from this hellstone thing, what would happen if the time stood still? We'd win at a whole new level. We'd win in a way no one expects us. No one is even conceiving we could win. I submit to you that time is service-led. And this is what happens. And Joshua declares, time stand still. He says, sun, stand still. Moon, stand still. Time, stand still. So we can rock this till the end. Let's go deeper. 13 and 14. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Listen, it doesn't say, and the sun stood still, and the moon stood still for 8 hours. You see, some of you haven't read this and seen what this is saying. This is saying, it says that they stood still until something happened, until the purpose in which time was serving was fulfilled. We spoke about Parkinson's law earlier. Work expands to fill the time available to its completion. Joshua took this the other way around. He said, listen, there's no more time to complete this. So time stands still, so we complete this. Oh, someone's going to catch this today. 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. Now, you could take this how you want to take it. You could take a whole day as 24 hours, or you could take a whole day as, listen, a day's worth of day, which is 12 hours. Either way, this is telling you, and it's telling you, it even emphasized it more than once because it knows you're not going to believe this. It's telling you that time, the sun was commanded to be still for at least 12 hours. Now, I believe if you study the Bible and you study science, this is why we have 28 days in February. This is why we have the world trying to catch up a quarter every 4 years, because the sun got told to stand still. But as you study the Bible, you can come to your own conclusion. Let's go deeper. Verse 14. And there was no day like that day before it or after it that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. You see, I don't know what you've been reading. I don't know if you've been tuned in. I don't know if you've been recognizing. But the moment you stop looking at time like a net, like there's not enough time, and you start looking at time the way God has ordained it, godly, you start acting with gratitude, redemptive. You start seeing that God is omniscient and he's the one who's put time there for you, because according to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, there's times and seasons for everything. You're going to start seeing that time is service-led. Time is waiting to serve you. You see, some of you haven't seen this. Look, I'm going to give you an example, right? You plant a seed in the ground and that seed becomes something profound. You plant a seed in the ground, that seed doesn't come back with seeds. It comes back with seeds. It comes back with a tree. It comes back with fruit for you and me. I want you to understand what time does. Time serves the seed. Someone's going to catch this. And if we see time as a net, oh, there's not enough time, guess what? We won't plant the seed. Someone's catching this now. This is what I want you to see. Going forward, start looking at time the way God has ordained it. Let me share this last thing with you before we wrap up. Psalm 139 verse 16. Psalm 139 verse 16. Psalm 139 verse 16. I want to get this to you before we wrap up for today's session. And guys, if there's someone who's taken some value from today's session, before we've even finished, I want you to just share some key takeaways in the chat. If you're joining us on YouTube and you got a dime, you got a dollar, you got a pound, you got something out of today's session, it's like, yo, this thing is still resonating in my head. Samuel said it all the way at the start. Samuel said it at the middle, but this thing's got me today. Throw your key takeaways inside of the chat. Those of you on YouTube, those of you in the private room, as we go and wrap up with Psalm 139 verse 16. Right now, in Psalm 139 verse 16, we're going to see the last part of this gross methodology, this major methodology of how to actually see time from a biblical perspective and not see time how the world has tried to trap us into seeing time. I'm in Psalm 139. I'm reading specifically verse 16. Verse 16 says, "Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect. And in your book," okay, and I want you to understand this. This is a Psalm of David. David is talking to God. He said, and in your book, okay, conversation between David and God, in your book, in God's book, what does he say? Watch this. "All my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them." You see, you may not understand what David's actually saying here, but what he's saying here is super unique. David is saying that God has a book which in it, every single moment, every single minute, every single member of my life is literally written down. Every single thing that's going to happen, because God knows everything, because going back to the omniscience of God, going back to the godliness of his ordination of time, every single thing going on in my life, God's got it written down. God knows what's going to happen. God's got it written down like it's already a sealed book. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. If that's actually the case, that means that time is already settled. And I want to encourage you today, if you've been a person who at the start of this session has been someone who's been saying to yourself, you know what, I just feel like I don't have enough time. If you've been a person who's been saying to yourself over the years, over the months, over the weeks, over the days, you know what, I'd love to achieve what God has shown me, but I don't see how I can achieve that with the time I've got. I'm here to tell you that if you start seeing time from a godly perspective, if you start seeing it with gratitude, if you start seeing the redemptive properties of time, if you start seeing that God knows everything and he's given you the time you've got, if you start seeing that time is service led and it's there to serve your seed, to give you everything you need, if you start seeing that it's already settled, everything will change for you. What I want to encourage you to do, if you haven't already, is share a key takeaway inside of the chat. For those of you who are with us inside of the live YouTube session, I want to encourage you guys, share this content with someone if you believe that they will get value from it. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed, be a part of our community, be a part of what we're doing. Leave a comment to let us know how this has blessed you, how this has encouraged you, how this has increased you. Or if you thought we were talking something that doesn't line up with what you're getting, you know, what you're learning in your church, feel free to let us know in the comments as well. We love comments, whether positive or negative. We're here to serve the community. And for those of you in a private room, stay right there. After we do our closeout, we're going to open it up for key takeaways, questions, and comments. With that being said, guys, it's that time where I say to you, good day, God bless. I pray you got tons of value, and I look forward to seeing you on our next session. Take care. Let's go.